Hey, She Slayers, and welcome to the first episode of 2025. I am your host, Dr. Lauren Brunslick. So, we are doing something a little new in 2025, and this is where once a month I am focusing on doing a solo and focusing on trying to keep this under 30 minutes. Okay. So I don't have time to tell you about our travel plans right now or any of the hypocrisy of that. I told Kirby right after we got back from Japan that I was like totally not going to need much travel in 2025 because I was like spent and exhausted, and not me spending the last 4 days looking at Belize, Tulum, Holbox, Mexico, Isla Mujeres, Puerto Vallarta, Punta Mita, Sayulita. We don't have time for any of that, so we're not talking about it. Another little 2025 update. I don't know if you saw it, but I think we're explicit now, which I apologize about. But yeah, you're not going to get more curse words than you've previously gotten. That's my promise. It's not like I'm going to go out of my way, but it was just recommended that since a couple F bombs drop here or there, that we give people that heads up. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna pray and then we're gonna get into today's topic. We're like 90 seconds in, you guys, and I'm already to the prayer. Can you believe this? New year, new Lauren. Dear God, thank you so much for the privilege that it is to be living in this time. We are the difference. We can be the change. We can be the light in all of this chaos, and like help us go into this year not feeling like we need to continue the same energy that is around us, and let us know that like as healers we have this huge possibility to affect others, and it can seem like such a small little ripple, but like just let us know that like it is okay to reinvent ourselves personally. It is okay to have different goals than we've had before. It's okay to have the same goals that we've had before. And as usual, when we do talk about money on this podcast, God, please know and fill our hearts with that mission that matches that monetary goal, because we know that money is a vibration and it is not something to be scared of. It is not evil. And being rich is not going to change our hearts. So, God, let us, as we focus on badass goals in 2025, help us also equally focus on building that heart with that foundation, because good people do good stuff with money. In your name we pray. Amen. Okay. So, I follow some people like on Instagram that, are really big into the mindset aspect of money. And I like that. I follow them. Otherwise, I wouldn't. But like one person I was watching as I was like prepping for this podcast literally was talking about how to have a 7-figure year. And she was like using a jar of water. And she was like, this jar of water represents all of this, negativity and disbelief in this, and what you need to do is like, and then she pours out the water, and then she's like, now this leaves room for financial abundance, and she pours in like this pink colored like Kool-Aid looking drink, and it's like super positive, and it's like, yes, yes, we all need some of that. But I am your fairy godmother, and the role I've taken in your life for the last 5 years that we've been doing this journey together is the like, yes, but from the sidelines, right? Like, it's not wrong when a guru stands on stage and talks about how chiropractic is actually like, chiropractic is really simple. All you have to do is tell the story, and people are going to buy. Yes, but that's not the whole story, right? Like, yeah, it is really easy to sell chiropractic, but also not always. So, like, I am your yes, but girl. So, yes to the pouring out that lame ass water and filling your mindset with Kool Aid. Drink the Kool Aid. Before we get into my steps of what I would do if I was drawing in a 7-figure year, if I were you and like, this is my year, this is what we're doing, these are the steps I would do. Before that, You have heard me talk about Girl Scout badges before, okay? Um, if you haven't, Girl Scout badges are the like self-worth badges that a lot of chiropractors and other professions are chasing that they don't even realize. It's this subconscious work that once I achieve this, I will be a worthy fill in the blank. So one of the Girl Scout badges that we have within, and you can be a boy and get Girl Scout badges, just so we're clear. I know there are a lot of boys who listen. I'll give you a Girl Scout badge. One of them is having a home birth. So whether you or your wife had a successful home birth, now you're a worthy chiropractor. Are you high volume? Are you high volume? Are you high volume? Oh my God. What is high volume? People ask this on the forums. Like, what is high volume? Is 250 high volume? Do we know what is high volume? Like, oh my gosh. If you have to ask, I was going to say if you have to ask, you're not high volume. That's not true. If you have to ask, you're seeking high volume for a weird reason. Like, you don't need anybody's validation. Like, oh, you're at 250. Sorry. It's 260 is high volume. Ooh, you're not there yet. You're not worthy yet. So, the seven-figure clinic is another Girl Scout badge. And it's honestly, this is everywhere. So, like, I am heavily in the world of like launches, funnels, online money making, and like my seven-figure launch, my like, it's just like everywhere. We love to say seven figures. And like, I'm here to tell you, nothing happens when you get there. There is no parade. You don't get to walk around with a sash at conferences. You don't. I tried it. It's really awkward and weird. Like seven-figure clinic over here. So then you have to like make sure you bring it up in conversation as much as possible. Well, what I'll tell you. So this isn't to say that seven-figure clinics don't know something or have something that a clinic that's stuck at bringing in $200,000 a year doesn't have. I'm not saying that. We're going to talk. We're going to get to the goods, okay? We're going to get into like, because I have a financial goal, right? Like, I want to get to $3 million dollars out of our brand within 5 years. Like, all of our revenue on an annual basis, I want 3 million. I'm here with you. I'm not here to crush your dreams. I just want you to realize that you are worthy at a $400,000 clinic. You are worthy at an $800,000 clinic. You are worth like great, 2 million. You figured some shit out. And I'm like, that's impressive. That's cool. And it is kind of like a followers thing where like, oh, I'll like if you have 100,000 followers, you like air quotes have a lot more clout than someone who has, 5,000 followers. So I get it. It's a clout badge, but really just realize that like do this for the right reason, and not because you think that seven figures, like once you can get to 1.0001, you're worthy. Because like the view from up there is like, oh, okay, does anybody care? We have actually made substantially more money on years that we were far from a million. We'll get to that. We'll get to that later because I cannot be rambling like this when we have a 30-minute time limit. Okay. So we talked about the Girl Scout badge. Now we're ready to jump into this. Okay. So if I was manifesting a seven-figure year, here is what I would do. Step one, and this is part of the woo woo, is you do need to work on your relationship with money. Okay. Too many very, very smart experts talk about this like thermostat example, so whether it's money, whether it's weight, whether like whatever it is that you are trying to call in like a different number, we have to realize that you have feelings around it. So this is about money. So we're going to talk about money, not weight. So one of the things that you can go, like many people, their thing is like, oh no, Lauren, don't worry. I love money. I don't have a bad relationship with money. And I go, well, okay. Here's some questions to ask yourself. Do you have a plan for what happens when it comes in? Okay. So do you know how much money you brought in 2024? I'm not talking about your gross revenue. I'm talking about like how much money did you bring in personally to your life? How many draws? How many this? And where did it go? Do you know where it went? How much did you spend? Like, how much did you donate to? Like, did you tithe? Did you like? How much did you spend on Amazon? How much did you spend on online shopping? How much did you spend on vacations? Oh my God, by the way, we almost spent six figures on travel in 2024. Oh my God. It was real close, like real close. Like maybe just like one trip over to Minneapolis, which is a 2 hour drive from me, would have pushed us over the edge. It's like, where did your money go? Once you know where your money went, what would happen if you brought in three times more? Like, what would you do with it? Like, do you have a plan? Like, are you looking at your investments and go, like, are you looking at your debt? Now, some of you, oh God, please don't, please don't. This is not financial advice, not financial advice. If you're like, oh, I'm going to pay off all my debt. Okay, hold up, Nelly. Because that may not be the best idea, depending on what your debt is at. Like, been there, made that mistake. Not all debt is bad debt. So please don't like come at me and be like, I made $300,000 and I paid off 300,000. I paid off my house. I paid off this. And I'm like, well, what was your house interest at? Oh God, what did you do? So maybe if you bring in three times as much money this year, you are going to set up a financial advisor meeting. Oh God, I have thoughts on that too. We have one, but it's not Edward Jones. It's not wealth management, not blah, blah, blah. I can't think of any of the other ones right now. It's none of those. We don't, I have thoughts, but this is what you need to think about. Okay. Where's your money going to go? Another thing with your relationship with money, do you obsess over it? Okay. So like, the analogy, let's say that you're like, all right, cool. I'm going to lose 20 pounds in 2025. I'm going to get fit. Like I need to, might be like, I need to do it. Are you, is it healthy? Would you tell a patient that it is healthy for every meal? Like, all right, set out your plan. How are you going to do this? And then every single meal to be like, what are my macros? And is this like this kind of meat or that? Like, no, have your guidelines, live by the 80-20 rule. Like, it's okay to have a piece of unplanned cheesecake. Like, you're not going to have a long lasting quality relationship with food if you're obsessive. The same thing is you cannot have a healthy relationship with money if you are obsessing about every dollar and where is it going to come. Do you live in fear of not having it? Do you think it's going to be the savior once you do have it? All your problems are going to be solved. So all of that is emotional baggage you need to work on healing. What was the money situation when you were a child? Like how did your parents talk about money? How do your parents talk about money? How do you look at really wealthy people? Like literally if you I go, what are the top 5 richest people you know? And you're like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and this and that. And you're like, what are your thoughts on them? And you're like, they're evil. They're evil. They're doing bad things. Okay, you may have an underlying fear that like, okay, cool. If you don't like them, like we don't need to get into the Bill Gates thing here, but like, and you're like, oh, Beyonce, ugh. Like, oh, if every really wealthy person you think of is simultaneously like not doing, then like you need to get some different people. When I say who are the wealthiest people, you know that you're like, I like this person, I like this person, not know, but like in your head that you visualize when I ask that question, like get some better role models. Okay, so next, what we're going to do once we've dealt with our money shit, which is an ongoing process. There are books for this, there are podcasts for this. Steph Wigner, one of my best friends, amazing at like curing your money mindset. Next is we want to get a goal you're obsessed with that matches the energy you're serving. Okay, so we've set this financial goal. Now you need to get really into what are you going to provide for people that's going to be this value exchange for this? Okay. And a lot of you are thinking chiropractic. Great. We're going to need to get a little more obsessed with the incredible transformative ability of chiropractic because to do something different, to hit a number you haven't met before, you're going to have to get uncomfortable. And we've already discussed you can't be willing to get uncomfortable just because you're money hungry. Like, oh, I'm going to do that screening because I want an extra 30,000. Like in order to truly live this year not in a place of scarcity and from this place of like on fire, attracting it in, you need to go like I have this solution that everybody needs and everybody wants. I have it. And it is incredibly transformative and valuable. And the price I'm selling it at is like, it should be 5 times this amount. You need to get that obsessed with the vision that you are creating because that is going to help during times of doubt and rejection. Okay. Any person who is selling a lot, and like I know selling has this like weird energy to it that is like, "Ugh, we don't like that word." I guess I kind of agree. Like, I don't mind selling. I'm actually kind of obsessed with the psychology of selling. But that word carries a different vibration than like that higher, lighter level that of like money that we're trying. Like, right? Can you feel it? Like, ugh, selling. Um, but you're going to get a lot of rejection. You're going to have periods where you're like, "Oh God, I'm doing another reel. Oh, I'm doing another screening. I'm trying to approach another person. I'm doing another this. I'm doing another ROF." Like, and it's okay to get rejected. Anybody who tells you like that rejection is not a part of it is lying. And nobody actually tells you that. Nobody worth, I have not seen a single person out there talking about this that's like, what? If you're getting rejected, you're doing it wrong. They all say the exact opposite. Like, get comfortable with rejection, get comfortable with other people who are not doing bigger things, like judging you. They'll do it quietly, don't worry. But like, if you have that goal that you're obsessed with and you're like, I have this solution that I'm obsessed with telling people about, it is that energy is like, okay, cool. Like, it's going to carry the same energy that I have when I like look at this reel that I posted a month ago that is still freaking going viral, and I'm not taking it down because I take down every reel of me adjusting because they go viral, and then the people get mean, and I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to take it down. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm leaving it up. And currently it's like at 2.1 million, and all the comments are just crazy. But they're so crazy that it's easy to not take personal. Like, people coming in being like, all chiropractors are quacks. Okay, Bob, thank you for your opinion. Not helpful. Like, next. And so we just got to manifest that same feeling of strength and courage about what we're offering. If you don't feel confident in what you are selling to that level where you're sitting across from somebody at a care plan offering them a $2,000 6-month life changing situation for like, they can't play with their kids, they can't do this, and they say, like, no, that's overpriced. Like, and if you don't know in your heart, no, it's not. It's not, you don't see the value, and that's okay. Like, that is okay, but you don't take that hit personally. You need to reverse yourself up a step, become obsessed, know the value of what you are selling, and keep moving. Next step, you're going to do your math. Yay. This is the analytical part that I feel like is missing from a lot of the manifestation stuff. So, you have a revenue goal. Okay, so we're going to talk from the chiropractic clinic perspective. If you're not a chiropractor, you're going to have to like fill in your numbers here. It'll make sense though. Okay. So revenue is a is kind of a simple thing. It's a number of patient visits times an average collection per visit. Is it more complicated than that? Yeah, it is. So we're looking at your OVA, your office visit average. This is the average amount of money that you collect per visit. If you do a lot of supplements, yes, include that. I absolutely include in electric muscle stim, decompression, shockwave, all of that, supplements, all of that is included in. Okay. Now, if you have a massage therapist that's like doing some like different thing on the side, like that's like, maybe don't include that in because it's her patient. Yeah, whatever. So you figure out your OVA, and then you figure out, like, let's say that it is $45. Okay. It's going to be a monetary amount. When you figure out that, well, then you really just need to divide your monetary goal. Okay. So let's say it's $1 million on the dot, divide it by $40. That is how many patient visits you need to see this year. Okay. So break that down into the weekly. So let's say that you do that. Let's say you're seeing, none of these numbers really make sense, but like, let's say you're seeing 200 people a week and you're like, I'm going to do $1 million. So you calculate your OVA and your OVA is 40. And um, in order to get to $1 million this year, you need to start seeing 560 patients a week. Skirt, like record scratch situation. Do you see a problem? I see a problem. Houston, we have a problem because you're at 200. And that's great. That's good to know that if you like you could just be like, "All right, I have to get to 560." Um Okay, do you have the staff for that? Do you have the marketing funnel for that? Like, whoa, that's a big old jump. Can you do it? Yes, you can. I believe in you. But maybe we start playing with some other numbers. So we go like, okay, average OVA, what did I said 45 and then I said 40. So whatever. Add $5 to it. Okay, now rerun this with an OVA of 50. Okay, now it gets it down to, let's say, 400 patients a week, and you're at 250. Like, okay, can you get to 400 a week? Well, that's easier than 560, right? Like, and none of this math actually makes sense. So don't be like, actually, Lauren, it could. So play with these numbers. Okay. Now the other thing is you could say, let's say you're at 45 office visit average, $45, and you're seeing 200 people a week and you get and you go like, all right, I don't want to see more than 200 a week. So you reverse engineer this. You go 200, like 200 patients a week times 52 weeks a year equals this many visits. Now you divide, your $1 million by those office visits or by the number of visits for the year. Do you get that? So then you're going to divide, like that's going to give you its own number. So this is going to be your OVA. Okay. This is like, okay, well, if you want to keep it 200 but make $1 million, you have to collect this. And let's say it goes up to $170. Okay. Well, you're at $45 right now. And if you want to make $1 million while still seeing 200 people, you need to figure out a way to collect 170. Okay. So I'm not here to tell you what to do, but math be mathin' and just run your numbers. The ideal is that you find this like, okay, this combination of both of like, I can raise my clinic numbers to that easily, not easily, but like with work, that's realistic. I could do that by March and then I could raise it to here by June and here by there. Like, yeah, I see the path. And then you can go like, and I can increase my OVA $7. Like I can do that. Here, how would I do that? Like, okay, I could do it by this. I could start charging for extremity adjustments. I could start like I could start actually doing re-exams and charging for them. Like run those numbers, know your math. Next thing is, or kind of one of the last things here, is you have to make sure that your systems, because when I asked on Instagram, like, what do you want to know? They're like, how do you stay there? What is the work to actually get there? My personal story is that we hit $1 million a couple times and it was completely unscalable. Sustainable, questionable. We basically built it on like $22 adjustments. We built it on super high volume, a lot of doctors, a lot of staff. Profitability was absolutely in the tank. I could have kept going. Like we could have kept running that because like I wasn't in there but it was bullshit. Like I personally looked at it and was like, okay, because after $1 million, you want to hit 1.5, right? And so then if I took everything we were doing to get to $1 million and went, what are we going to have to do to get to 1.5? Those numbers were like stupid. I was like, I have to employ 8 doctors and have probably 3 locations and see 1,300 people a week. Yuck. I don't want that. I don't want that. And so I was at this point going like, cool, yay, I did it. Where's my parade? And then looking at like, okay, so if we want to keep going, like not just like sit at 1 million, we want to keep growing, it's going to take more of this. And I look at this trail of systems and procedures that I created to get there. And I was like, well, that was dumb. Like, I don't like that. And so we had to deconstruct. Like, we absolutely had to deconstruct and look at our clinic and create a scalable version of it. And it's glorious. Now I love it. Now I can easily see a path to $2 million that I could never have seen before. But I had to learn those mistakes the hard way. So make sure that you are looking at your numbers. Is this scalable? So often we are going like, okay, so I'm seeing 200 people a week and I'm bringing in 400,000. So if I want to get to 800,000, I need to get to 400 patients. Okay, if I want to get to a million, I need to get to 450. And we just double. Doubling is not the difference as scaling. And so many of us just have these blinders on, chasing that Girl Scout badge to call ourselves worthy of a 7-figure clinic, that we aren't paying attention to the foundation that we're creating and making sure that it's actually scalable. Because when you get to scalable, then like 7 figures, no problem. Like once you have those right systems and the math makes sense and you have staff that are on board with like, oh, I love this vision and those numbers make sense. I believe that we can do that too. Because that's something that we don't talk enough about, that you can believe it. But if your staff doesn't have trust in your clinic, if your staff looks and goes like, sure we are. Okay, how are we going to do that? Oh, 200 new patients a month. Totally doable, Dr. Smith. Yeah. Cool. I can't wait until we break $1 million and I get a $2,000 bonus. Like they aren't on board. And there are, when you're trying to build a team, which is one of the necessary things for a scalable clinic, not always, I take that back, for a lot of scalable clinics, they have to be bought into this vision. They have to trust your systems and procedures in your clinic, and they have to look at the math and go, yeah, that makes sense. Like basically, when your staff, when you lay out, like, here's our $1 million game plan, here's our 7-figure game plan, here is our $1.5 million game plan, here's how we're exploding past last, and you lay out these numbers and they go, oh, then you have them. You have them on board and you have yourself. When you go like, it's actually not that difficult. We just need to focus on this and this. And here's the deal. If you can't get to a point where you're like, it's not that difficult. Okay, then, oh, okay, you're at 500,000 this year and you want to get to a million. And realistically, you go like, I think we're going to do 850. Awesome. Fuck yeah. Cool. Like do it in a profitable way, because you can like rat race yourself to a million and make less than a clinic making 850. Okay. So there we go. Holy shit. I did it. If this resonated with you, all right, in any way, one, share it on Instagram or Facebook. Would really appreciate that. Two, we are onboarding for the multi-passionate chiropreneur right now. Okay. As we speak this month, we start January 24th. This is once a year, people. It's not coming back until next January. It is 10 weeks, and we are working with high-level chiropractic and clinic owners who want to learn from my mistakes and follow a very specific guidebook. Like, here is how you're going to do this. Here's how you are going to create more financial wealth in your personal life and in your clinic. Here's how you're going to create more profitability, and here's how you're going to get more time back. If that is interesting to you, please sign up for a discovery call. We will chat. I promise you're not wasting my time. And in fact, when you book that discovery call, we will email you a 12-page guidebook of everything that's covered each week. It's very in depth, and the pricing for it. Okay. So no longer do you have to get on the phone with me to like know the pricing. I kind of had this like breakdown first week of calls where I'm just like, that's old school. You know what? I'm not doing that anymore. I know that that's what the experts say. I'm not doing that. I'm going to tell you this is a high level call or a high level program. This is going to change your life. Most people get 3 to 5x of the like 50 plus students we've had. They're saying like 3 to 5x return year one. And that's pretty easy. It really honestly is easy. So click the link below, book the call. I love you. If you're not ready to book the call, make sure you are at least on our mailing list to get our weekly emails. We send out fun weekly emails on Mondays, talking about just ways to level up as a leader and funny stories sometimes. All right. Until next week, She Slayers. Bye.